last time out, things were okay on the track. We are rounding the final corner onto the pit straight to finish the race in P8. To be honest, not the most exciting race for us, but he had to return home to his dad. Buddy now had a whole summer break, which he spent most of it away on holiday with his girlfriend. But the summer break was now over, so it was now time for him to head off to the majestic Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. So the summer break has come to an end, and Buddy Simpson has arrived at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix, round 12 of the 2017 season. And Buddy has taken an all-new power unit. Pretty much all the components are all new for this race, which means he's going to have a power advantage compared to his rivals with the new engine. But he is going to be taking an engine penalty in Monza. And to be honest, that's probably one of the best places that you can take an engine penalty. And the reason for that is because obviously the long stretch means it's easy to overtake, but also it means where engine is crucial, he is going to have a new engine, so he's going to have that bit more power. But without further ado, it was now time for the qualifying report. The summer break was over, and that meant one thing: it was time for qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. Sauber once again struggled as they were last in qualifying. McLaren were always going to struggle around here as the long straight exposed their power unit weakness, whilst Kvyat outqualified Sainz again. Magnussen made it into the top 10, whilst Lance Stroll starts at the back due to an engine penalty. Both Renaults made Q3. The two Force Indias endured a good qualifying, with the track playing to the strengths of their Mercedes engine. Whilst Daniel Ricciardo qualified in 4th ahead of his teammate Verstappen. Kimi Raikkonen outqualified his teammate Vettel. Whilst it was Lewis Hamilton who took pole, unsurprisingly, as the Spa circuit plays to the Mercedes strength, whilst Bottas lines up on the back road due to an engine penalty. So, taking a look at the grid for round 12, and as said, it is Lewis Hamilton who took pole ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, who lines up on the front row. Sebastian Vettel lines up in 3rd ahead of Daniel Ricciardo in 4th, Max Verstappen in 5th and Sergio Perez in 6th. Esteban Ocon lines up in 7th ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, Buddy Simpson with Kevin Magnussen rounding out the top 10. Kvyat continues a good run to qualify in 11th ahead of Massa, Grosjean, Sainz, Alonso and Van Dorn, with the salvos of Ericsson and Verline locking out the 9th row, whilst Bottas and Stroll line up the back due to grid penalties.
Simply put it, there really is no place quite like Spa. Anthony Davidson is alongside me in the commentary box to take you through all the action today. Now, it's a closely matched field here in Spa, Ant, so where do you think we're going to see somebody make a difference?
If they're as close as we're expecting them to be, especially through the midfield, then being able to keep the front tyres in good condition could make the difference. You always lose a chunk of downforce at the front when you're in the turbulent air of another car, which tends to cause understeer, which in turn causes front tyre degradation. Now, too much damage there could force an early pit stop and put you at a slight disadvantage, so the drivers will want to be careful not to be too aggressive early on in the Grand Prix.
So, the Buddy Simpson career mode is back, and after the break we head to the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and as you can see, Buddy Simpson lining up on the grid. He qualified in P10, but due to grid penalties he actually starts in P9. As you can see, the formation lap is underway. Obviously he's on the ultra soft tyre, as that's what he qualified on as he made Q3. But he's got cars behind that are on the super soft tyre, which is going to make things very interesting as they're going to go a lot longer into the Grand Prix. But Buddy knows this track very well. He's driven here many times I mean, yes, he did many of his junior single-seater career in all the IndyCar categories before he decided that F1's where he wanted to go. But in the past few years, where he was one of those drivers that were doing many categories at once because he wanted to get acclimatized to the European racing scene, he has visited Spa a lot in the series he's done, and he's got quite a good record here, so he had quite high hopes going into this race. And as you can see, he's rounding the final chicane, getting ready to line up on the grid to commence battle here at Spa after the summer break. As you can see, Buddy lines up on the grid. It was going to be very interesting. I mean, it's very important that you get yourself kind of into single file before Eau Rouge. Going side by side into Eau Rouge is never ideal. So he needs to find himself a good position before Eau Rouge. But we have the lights in Spa. Lights out and away we go. And Buddy doesn't get the best of luck. As you can see, the usually fast starting Hasses, Kevin Magnussen making a good stop. As you can see, Buddy is going down the inside. Kevin Magnussen's got the drive, but we, in the second phase of the exit, we've launched off the corner, and we are up into 8th place. So, I mean, we did lose a position, but we gained a couple, so we are up one position on where we were. And as you can see, got all the slipstreaming. We have a lot of momentum heading down the straight, as they're all bunching up ahead. As you can see, the Force India of Sergio Perez going down the inside of Vettel, 3 wide ahead. We are trying to buy into this as much as we can, as they're all battling it out quite heavily. We get a reasonable exit off Malmedy, but we aren't able to capitalise yet. There's so much action. We're just waiting for it all to kick off, as they almost touched ahead, so we can buy into this. As you can see, they've all now kind of got into single file, and it looks like P8 is where we're going to settle into at the end of the first lap.
Okay, Buddy, nice start. Just find a groove and think about fuel.
So Buddy being told on the radio to think about saving fuel, but he has to be a little careful. As you can see, he's got 2 cars right behind him, as you can see in the mirror, and Felipe Massa is going past Kevin Magnussen, which is really not good for us. He's battling with him, but I think he has got the position, which is not good, because that means we have a Mercedes powered car behind us, and obviously on a track like Spa, those Mercedes powered cars are going to be very fast. Initially we were having him covered, we were just managing the fuel a little bit, but in all the places where he was a danger, we were turning the fuel up. As you can see, we get a very bad exit though off of the bus stop chicane. As you can see, Massa's now got the run heading into the source hairpin, but we're easily able to cover him on the exit. But now we were going to have the problem where he was going to get the run down the Kemmel Straight. As you can see, he's in the slipstream, there's no breaking free, and as you can see, we go to the inside to defend. We're going to see if we can defend it, but he's able to make it round the outside, and he has made that move stick. So we have unfortunately lost a position. But things are going to be interesting as he's on the soft tyre, and also the super softs were starting to wear out a little bit, so we could have a chance of catching him later on. So a few cars started to pit, and we were thinking we're going to go as long as possible, but as you can see, we have a safety car, and that is going to change things absolutely massively. It did actually kind of come at a good time for us, as it's going to essentially give us a free pit stop. I mean, the obvious decision is to pit at the end of this lap, and that is really going to benefit us. It's really not clear why the safety car is out. I mean, I'm assuming it was for debris or something like that, but there was no retirements or anything. Couldn't see anything on the race director, so it's really not clear why we have the safety car, but we do have a safety car, as you can see, heading into the pits, putting on a set of the soft tyre, and we exit the pits in P15 behind a whole bunch of cars who have yet to stop. Unusually, a lot of these super soft runners did not pit, and it's a very odd decision as they were going to really lose out. What this is going to do is it's going to put us in a train of cars that we're going to have a pace advantage of, but we do have to clear on track. As you can see, we are behind the Sauber of Pascal Wehrlein on the restart. We're just waiting for the leader to bolt so we can get going. So we are allowed to resume racing, but we cannot we cannot overtake Pascal Wehrlein. We get really caught out, and Grosjean is able to just drive by, but we have the inside going into the bus stop chicane. But he's going to have the inside heading into the La Source hairpin, and he is going to dive it up the inside, and he has made that move 6. It really was not what Buddy needed, and Buddy was really not impressed with Wehrlein. Okay, the Sauber just completely stamped on the brakes, and I had to react. Sorry guys, couldn't do anything about that. Say. As you can see, Buddy's got the run on Wehrlein. Wehrlein was not going to be a tricky car to pass. Obviously, with the year-old Ferrari engine, he is going to be down in a straight line. So Buddy has made that move stick. As you can see, there's 3 battling cars ahead. Grosjean, Ericsson and Verstappen, who obviously has some problems. As you can see, Buddy's trying to get round Grosjean, getting back that position that he lost, but he's unable to do it. As you can see, Romain Grosjean has the run on Marcus Ericsson. He's going to go down the inside into Pouhon, which is going to slow him down, and is going to give us the run heading into the Fangya chicane. And he doesn't leave us much space, but we're going to go around the outside into Fangya, and we have made that move stick. Or have we? As Ericsson is on the inside going into Stablo, but into Paul Frere. He's the one that's eventually going to have to yield, and we have made that move stick. Just about. As you can see, now moving on to lap 14, now behind Max Verstappen, and Buddy just drives past the Red Bull. Clearly the Red Bull has some problems. As you can see, you've got Carlos Sainz and Romain Grosjean battling it out ahead. We need Grosjean to be held up by some of these cars, but it's not happening right now, so all we can do is just pick off these cars one by one and see how far we can get. Obviously they're going to have to pit later on, but picking off these cars is still going to help. Now Buddy is behind a whole train of cars heading into the first corner. You can see Carlos Sainz is the car ahead. He brakes very early, and we are going to use that opportunity to dive it up the inside, but he's got the drive, and he's going to stay alongside. He is not willing to yield, and we're going to be side by side into Eau Rouge. This is nail-biting stuff. We almost touched, but Carlos Sainz has somehow managed to defend that position. That was incredible racing. Woo! That was the sort of racing I love. Rightly so. Now we need to look at this moment again. This was just incredible bravery from both drivers. Carlos Sainz sticking with him, and somehow that could have been an almighty crash there. Now looking at it from Carlos Sainz's point of view, look at how close we were to contact. But unfortunately for us, he was the one that won out in that battle. But still, great moment nonetheless, side by side at Eau Rouge. As you can see, Buddy here is now waiting for the opportunity to be in the slipstream of Carlos Sainz. and he's alongside, and he heads down the inside, going into Les Combes, and he has made that move stick. Now, as you can see, Buddy is behind the other Toro Rosso of Danny Kvyat, heading down the Kemmel Straight. He has the run, and he has simply breezed past the Toro Rosso, much easier than it was to pass Carlos Sainz. He was now in P8 once all the pit stops had taken place, so kind of where he was before, but trying to chase down Romain Grosjean.
Okay, buddy, we have a lot of Mix 3 saved. You can use it to catch Grosjean.
Words of encouragement there for Buddy Simpson. As you can see, he really did stretch his legs to try to catch the Haas driver. I mean, when he wasn't in Mix 3, Grosjean was pulling away, but he'd always close whenever he was in Mix 3. But as you can see, now Buddy is right behind the Haas driver to see if he can make that move stick. And you can see a few cars have pitted, which include Valtteri Bottas behind, who have pitted for the second time. Obviously, we still have another stop to make. As you can see, we are right behind him, right within striking range to make a move on Romain Grosjean. As you can see, Grosjean's car is harvesting energy a little bit on the X of Eau Rouge, which is going to give us the run, and we have made that move stick heading into Les Combes. But the thing that was going to be really interesting was strategy. Grosjean pitted at the end of that lap, which meant to avoid the undercut, a good in-lap was crucial. In Mix 3, this was going to be the most important lap of the race for us. But the thing where we have a problem is we have Valtteri Bottas on fresher tyres, obviously in a Mercedes, who has pitted behind us. And he is going to go for a risky move into Pulm, which is going to put us offline. Really not what we need at all. That lost us a fair amount of time there. At the end of that lap, we pitted in for our final stop, unsurprisingly, and we do a reasonable job at making sure we don't brake too early for the pit lane speed limit. Obviously, it's important we need any time that we can get it. So into the pits for some new tyres. As you can see, Romain Grosjean has crossed the line, but the pit lane is on the inside of turn 1. But unfortunately, we have been jumped by the Haas driver. Oh, sake. That's all because of the time we lost while being passed by Bottas. The unfortunate thing was, we'd used up a lot of our Mix 3 trying to catch Grosjean before the pit stop, which meant it was going to be a lot harder this time. So we actually did another extreme, which was to save fuel before running Mix 3 for around the last 3 laps, to see if we can make a last gasp effort to catch the Haas driver. As you can see, we used too much curb and go onto the grass, and that was that when it came to catching up to Grosjean. And now we had to defend from our teammate Nico Hülkenberg, which was actually really not an easy task, as he had the fresher tyres, and obviously ours were worn out a bit by the spin. So, as you can see, Hülkenberg is going to have a run heading into Blanchimont. As you can see, he is really close, but he doesn't go for it. Obviously, he doesn't risk it, as we are his teammate. As we head into the final corner, onto the pit straight, and Buddy Simpson is going to finish in P8. So a fairly average race for him, but he got a fair haul of points. But To be honest, in the battle with Grosjean, he should really have saved the MiG-3 for after the pit stops, because then he could have stretched his legs afterwards and made the move then. Obviously, he knew that the undercut would be hard to avoid, as obviously it would be too late to react to a car behind pitting. That's why the undercut works often, because they can pit when people don't expect. But as you can see, we finished in P8 ahead of our teammates. It's Lewis Hamilton that wins in Belgium, which obviously is not a surprise because the Mercedes is obviously going to be very fast around the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps because of their engine. Nico Hulkenberg seeming a bit happy with 9th despite failing to beat us for 8th place. But the first race after the summer break, Buddy has maintained his consistent point scoring form that has been a theme of his season. The next race he'll have to take a grid penalty due to an engine change, so it's going to be an uphill task for him to continue that going into Monza. But the big question was, could he make the seemingly impossible possible in Monza?